on this computer. So, ooh, snap. Oh!
What did you hit?
I tapped the back of an 18-wheeler.
No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are.
What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy ETS2 Matador, and I'm playing Euro Truck Simulator 2. And today, I got my boy Railman sitting shotgun with me in the rig.
What's up, folks?
This video is going to be an homage to Blackredneck and to his brand new Peterbilt 386, which he is drooling all over the place. He's probably on the road right now drooling at the fact that he's behind the wheel of one of them bad boys. And he sent a message saying, Matador, I think you got the truck in your garage. Can you do a video for me? And I'm like, sure. You know, I have no problem doing that. You know, we're hauling today some smoke eel. It's about 11 tons worth. We're heading to the Starvanger at the Rainier. What is that? Logistic? Oh,
don't try this dumb.
Logistic plant out there. I guess we're just gonna say Rainier. 7 hours total. GPS is telling us it's an 8-hour run, approximate. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna pull out and hit the road and have a little powwow with Rail, since he rolling with us. You know.
Are we there yet?
No, Rail, we're not there yet. Don't start that, Rail. Oh man. Alright, we pulling out. Come on, truck. That Peterbilt almost ran me, hit the side of me. Okay. Railman.
Yes, sir.
Railman. Ladies and gentlemen, Railman, aka
He's in the house.
AKA Mr. Magic Man, AKA Mr. Mods. I'm running out of AKAs for you, Rail.
AKA your Lord and Savior of everything.
Alright, Rail, if that's how you feel about the situation, okay, we'll let you go with that
come
one.
with me when you're in a pinch, don't you?
Not I said Matador. So, if y'all don't know, y'all can go check out Railman's channel, man. His link will be in the description below in this video. He's a part of Raw Image Gaming himself. Recently, I got Grimdog up and running. I'm gonna be putting out a video with Grimdog playing LCPDFR with me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I just got him.
Been a while since I heard from him.
Yeah, he finally got back on his computer. So, ooh, snap. Oh!
What did you hit?
I tapped the back of an 18-wheeler. And I don't know if I tapped the back of it or if I drove up all on the inside of it. Wow.
Is she pregnant?
No, it's not pregnant. It's not pregnant. We pulled out slowly. I'll pull out game strong. What? I'll pull out game strong, man. What I want to say is, we're gonna have every now and then, you know, we probably have like a serious powwow, you know, just a serious video. I don't think this is gonna be this video. It's probably gonna be a video with just, I don't know. Who knows? Ain't no telling when we're behind the wheel of a truck what type of video this will be, you know. So, I got a question. You have the Scandinavian pack, right?
Yep.
Have you been up north, like near Switzerland and all that?
Yeah, I've been in all the new countries.
Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty up here.
It is.
So pretty up here. Oh, it's so beautiful. We got 6 hours and 56 minutes to go. 266 miles left. Oh man, I forgot how far you gotta go to get where you gotta get. Did that make any sense to you?
No, but let's just say it.
Rail, man, I have a question. And
Go ahead.
Redneck asked me this the other day, and I gave him my opinion, and I want to get your opinion on certain things. How do you feel about the current state of the world and with everything that's going on currently in the United States of America. We're gonna worry about the United States of America first. You know,
Yeah, because we're the biggest and greatest country there is. Not.
you know. And he's not saying it to be mean, people, because I don't want nobody hopping on this video bashing, saying, "Oh, Railman hates America." No, he doesn't. He does not. I know how some people think around here. So
I love America. America made me who I is.
Who you is? Who he is? But on a serious note, Rail, how do you feel about the whole race thing that's going on now? Apparently, people are trying to push for a race war.
Well, I was talking to one of my family members the other day just about this exact same issue, and it's sad. They've been saying for years there's going to be a race war coming, and it seems like it is. It's just, you know, this gotten to a point where you don't know if you're going to come home anymore. You can't even go to the movies theater or even go to church.
Right.
Without getting shot up.
Right. And
there's nowhere you can go without being busted cap up again.
And you see, just recently, man. I live in Louisiana, and down south we don't. It's one of those things that we don't expect to happen. They just recently had the movie theater shooting about an hour away from me, and near my hometown. I live near Church Point. That's like 10 minutes away from Lafayette, Louisiana. And I mean, my mom and them was just saying that day. I talked to her that day, and she was like, "Man, the crazy part, we was gonna go to the movies." And I'm happy they didn't go.
Yeah, I know, that's right.
My thing is this: where do we draw the line in the sand, man? I know I might step on some people's toes, but sometimes I feel us black people stir the pot way too fucking much. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You gotta elaborate on that.
In other words, prime example. Black kid gets stopped by the police, okay? He punches a cop in the face. Everybody starts recording the video after he punches the cop in the face. The cop, by then, has grounds to beat his ass now. Cop beats his ass, handcuffs him. Kid's still fighting the cop the whole time now. He punches him to get in the fight. The cop beats his ass, handcuffs him. Oh, that's racist. That's bullshit. He's just arrested him because he's black. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by that. Everything is always a racial issue with us, where there's no racial issue to report. Can you help me out?
Well, people gonna find fault in anything and everything. And on that point you just raised, I agree with you. We need the whole story and not just part of the story before we even, try to form an opinion on it. But I can still get the other point of, they've been exterminating us for a very long time. A lot of people, today's the birthday of Emmett Till. Do you know who Emmett Till was?
Go ahead, Rail. Elaborate.
Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy. I believe he was from Detroit, Michigan. Went down south to visit his grandparents. And one day he went to the store to get something, and he saw this white woman that looked pretty good to him, and he whistled. The next thing we knew, about 4 days later, he was found in the river. His face was beaten up. He was hung. He was shot. His genitals were cut up. His own mother couldn't recognize him anymore. And that helped form the civil rights movement.
Burrell, let me ask a question. And
Yes, sir.
I'm listening and I agree. I'm not trying to start up an argument. I like people input on things. That was how many years ago?
Oh, I think 55 or 60 years ago.
Okay, that was around the civil rights movement, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot has changed since then. And my question is, a lot has changed, and that's in the past. We're in the future. We're in the current now, and it seems like black folks ain't trying to make it no better. I don't some things I agree upon, some things I don't. But at the same time, how can you complain that nobody's treating you fairly when you don't do what's when you don't, as a culture as a whole, don't try to push for anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear people all the time, oh, they're holding us down. Oh, the white man holding us down. Oh, they keeping us in the dark. Oh, da da da. But I'm like, you don't try to get educated on the situation, or you try to better yourself or push for better understanding, or try to better everything around you to get what you got to get. Shit, I kind of lost myself on that one. I know I want to say, I'm not trying to make it sound, what's the word I'm looking for? Bigoted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get your point, and many of us folks have used that excuse since the Civil Rights Movement and after the Civil Rights Movement, even when things, as you said, have gotten progressively better than what it was. But like I said before, I can see the other side. There's still stuff going on. There's still racism going on.
And listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. There is. I'll tell you a little bit about. I grew up in a small town, Church Point, Louisiana. You can look it up. Growing up, my grandparents, we always lived on the, let's see, if you facing Church Point, the west side of Church Point. All the blacks used to live across the bridge, and all the whites lived on the other side of the bridge. Even growing up, I was like, man, going to high school, it's just when I got to middle school and everybody, I'm not saying that everybody wasn't moving around, but when I got to middle school, you could start seeing, you know, a lot more blacks going to school, a lot more blacks in school, a lot more whites at the middle school where you're at, you know. I guess it just took time. I'm not saying my town was racist, it's just people were set in their ways, you know what I'm saying? You still had black kids hang out with white kids hang out with black kids, but people were set in their ways. You had the older generation feeding into the hate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't put out a fire with gasoline, you put it out with water, you know. And whenever you got the great-grandparents, the grandparents, the mom and dad saying, oh, I don't want you hanging out with that black kid, you know, even though he goes to school with that kid, even though he shares a lunch with that kid, shares a snack with that kid, shares pee with that kid, sees that kid every day, you know. It's to the point to where it's like, when do you make a change? Now it's getting better because the older generation is starting to die out, you know. But there's still going to be racism in the world, no matter how you look at it. You will never stamp it out completely. Never. There's always going to be something someone is not going to like about someone else, you know.
And that's why and what you just said is a prime example of why things are still going on the way they're going on. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, you finally got a black president. Racism doesn't exist no more. You finally got Barack Hussein Obama in the White House. There ain't no racism. There's many well-off black folks in this world. There's no more racism. But as you can tell by going to the news every day, that's definitely not true. There's still plenty of racism going on.
I'm happy.
There's even racism against him.
I'm happy you brought up the news situation. I have a problem with the news.
I do too. I don't watch the news anymore.
I stopped pretty much watching news ever since I started working law enforcement. And for a prime example, Ferguson got out of control because of the news. I will say that. The news will report just small bits of it, and people would run with it and just went crazy. I'm gonna be honest. That's how I viewed it. Like, even right now, have you been seeing the thing with the black lady that hung herself in the jail cell?
Oh, no, I talked about that with one of my relatives the other day also. That what really brought up the conversation with her. And I do believe and my family do believe she was murdered on that.
She was murdered?
They believe the way that apparently from the way that the story was told, that how you gonna hang yourself with a trash bag? How did she do that? How did you hang yourself with a trash bag? How did she get a trash bag? Where did she attach it to and all that?
Okay. I'm happy you brought that up. from somebody that worked corrections, somebody that works with inmates. Trash bags are allowed in some jail facilities. Trash cans are allowed in some jail facilities. A lot of people think just because a lot of people watch like TV shows, they're like, oh, they don't get just because you're in jail, you can't get a trash bag. Why can't you get a trash bag in jail? The only thing that's not bolted down in jail, the only thing that I'm sorry, everything is bolted down in jail from the bed to the sink to the toilet. You have trash. You'll get a trash bag in jail. You can hang yourself with a trash bag. You tear it into strips. It's not hard to kill yourself, man, if you truly want to. There's so many things that you gotta look at it like this. This is how an inmate broke it down to me one day. He said, Sarge, be honest with you, I sit here all day. He's like, we ain't got nothing to do. You're in a cell 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You will find, I've seen these summer guns find things and find ways to do things that make me go, how did you pull that off in an empty ass cell? Just bored, fummaging around. When your mind is made up to do something, man, there's nothing that can stop you. When you put your mind to it, that is it. Your mind is a very powerful thing. I'm not saying by no stretch of the imagination I'm taking up for anybody, but people have been killing themselves in jail for years. Now all of a sudden she's murdered because she's black. Come on, man. That's a man just killed himself in Houston, hung himself with a pair of blue jeans. What they gonna say? Oh, well, he how do you get blue jeans? It's jail. Not every jail facility is the same, man. You know, I got in a bunch of arguments with people on Facebook because I'm like, don't be ignorant, please. That's all I'm asking people. I'm like, don't be ignorant, be smart whenever you say things, you know. I'm like, yeah,
if you give me the evidence and lay it out for me, you know, like I said earlier, we need to have all the evidence and facts in before we can form an opinion, at least a thoughtful opinion on it, because everybody's gonna have an opinion, but a thoughtful, you know, informed opinion, we need all the evidence in before we, you know, open our mouths. But a lot of people just want to open their mouths and run out the mouth with anything.
You know, me personally, it was 3 days later. I felt that both her and the officer were both out of line. He let his emotions, the number one thing they teach you don't let your emotions get the best of you, you know. And
from what I heard of the story, I tend to agree with you, because apparently he was going to let her go until he told her to put out her cigarette or something. She said no. Yeah,
and then they started going back and forth. So I'm gonna say both of them. He did the one thing they tell you not to do, and he did it.
Since you're a cop, I'm gonna ask you this.
Go ahead.
When I heard that seemed kind of strange to me. Is there a law against smoking in your vehicle?
No, there's not. But once you're on a traffic stop, you are technically detained. The officer doesn't have to tell you you're arrested. You are technically detained at that moment. You you broke a violation, you broke a law for that officer to pull you over. Okay? So once that happens, I'm not saying all your rights is gone, but on that traffic stop, it's best to comply with the officer, so that way everything goes on.
I do agree with that.
So I'm not saying if an officer walks up to the car and tells you, put this gun in your mouth, pull the trigger, you fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, he pulls you over, okay, can you turn your car off? Cut your car off. You know, at that point in time, you are detained. When the blue lights cut on behind you, a lot of people sit there and say, oh, I know the law. What people fail to realize is, the man that pulls you over knows the law better than you. Just because you read a statute, the law constantly changes, and they have to be revised in that. You know, it's because you're reading a statute from 1976, and the officer looking at you like you're crazy because he ain't heard that statute in forever. You know, and people sit there on Facebook and say, "Oh, he won that battle. That cop was ignorant." No, the cop wasn't ignorant. The cop was just looking at you like you crazy because you read him an old statute, and he not gonna argue with a dumbass. You know. I don't know, man. I felt in that situation, he let his emotions take the best of him. You know, and I also felt once he probably got control, because the situation went out of hand once she started saying, you can't do this and da da da. She kept smoking. I was like, oh, it's gonna get bad, you know. So I don't think he would have brought her to jail. Something else had to.
But do you believe, in your opinion, he's the one that escalated the situation? She may have said, no, I'm not going to put out my cigarette. She's in her car. But do you believe that he's the one that actually escalated that situation?
In that situation, I'm going to say yes. Because I've seen the video.
Because apparently she wasn't, she wasn't threatening him or cussing him out or anything. She was saying, no, I'm in my car. I'm smoking right now. I guess she was stressed out or whatever from being pulled over. So she, took a smoke break.
You're right.
And he did what he did. Apparently, I guess he tried to tase her. Or
no, he tried to pull out the car. He told her get out the car. He said, put the cigarette out, step out the car. Step out the car, man. And she was like, no, I'm smoking.
And
blah, blah, blah.
I did, when you said, I would agree on the point that when the officer tells you to do something that's not dangerous, and he gives you a command to do something, you should do it. She should have followed that command.
And I guarantee you, where we're at now, we would not even been in the situation we're at. He probably would have told her, next time, man, when you blah 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 blah, and send on her way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wanted to get. The thing about it is, in law enforcement, they tell you get control of your situation.
True.
If I pull you over, I'm not gonna let you dictate how my traffic stop's gonna go.
That's right.
Because if I do that, I lost. That's not how it's supposed to be. I'm not saying I'm gonna go out there and be Hitler.
Oh God, I hope not. A whole lot of people be in trouble.
But what I'm saying is, you gotta understand, law enforcement is not. They're not the military, but at the same time, they are a form of military. Their job is to deal with everyday public. That is our job. Period. Point blank across the board. Sometimes, like for instance, remember that cop that shot that black guy that took the taser and threw it on the ground? Remember that a while back?
Oh yeah, that was in South Carolina, right?
That dude needed to get the death penalty. That's out of line.
I believe that.
That's out of line. But this situation.
What about the cops who caused that guy, I guess, to have a heart attack in New York?
Which one?
What's your feelings on that one? Was it Freddie Gray or something? I forgot.
Oh, the big guy?
Yeah, the big guy.
To be honest with you, bro, that if they told him stop, I don't understand the whole story, but from what I understand, they got in an altercation with him. The dude's 6 foot something. I'm not resisting, but you're not complying. People fail to realize, just because you saying you're not resisting, but you're still not doing what the officer telling you what to do. You are resisting. You're not complying.
Yeah, that's resisting.
So they took him down. They don't know. Let me tell you, when I walk up on, say, Railman, I know you. We'll use somebody else. We'll use some random person. I walk up to some random person on the street. Okay, how you doing today, sir? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, you soliciting? Okay, you can't solicit here, sir. You need to put the merchandise down. It's a city ordinance. I have to arrest you. You got to come to jail. Why? Why I got to come to jail? It's a city ordinance, sir. Put the stuff down. Put your hands behind your back. Man, I'm not resisting, but why? You are resisting. That's what people fail to realize. The officer gave you a command.
Kick you up when you give a command and you don't do what he tells you to do, or she tells you to do.
You're resisting.
That is resisting. I believe that.
No, not compliance. But what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know you from Adam and Eve. Okay?
Even if you did, still.
And I don't know you. I don't know what type of medical history you're dealing with. I don't know nothing that is going on with you. Just because you tell me I'm having a heart attack, that don't mean I didn't have 4 people before you that I ran into you with try to fake a heart attack to get out of jail. Once I get control of you and you telling me you having a heart attack, then I'll take care of it then. He resisted, and at the end of the day, it's sad a young man lost his life, but if he would have just complied, all of that could have been avoided. Now the officer didn't have to choke him. He a big guy, and they all looked like they was about 5'5" jumping on him.
Small cops.
But they had to do what they had to do to bring him down. You know, I'm not resisting. I'm not doing nothing. Da, da, da. Look at this. What pisses me off is the fact of you got everybody with cameras recording shit like this, and instead of them, he's at the camera. I look at this. Y'all record this. I ain't doing nothing. Officer, stop, stop, stop. Quit fucking recording or record, but you need to tell him, man, just do what the officer says so you can go on about your business. You know? That's what kills me sometimes about certain things, man. A lot of things could be avoided if people just let the officer do his job. It's a job, you know? You gotta remember, we're not, people that get in law enforcement is not doing it for the money. I do not make any fucking money. I put on a uniform in the morning. I go deal with the worst of the worst. I don't know how somebody's feeling that day, just so I can allow my daughter, my wife, my friends, my family, and everybody else go to bed peaceful at night, you know? The thing about it is people forgetting that. It's not like don't get me wrong, there are some crooked cops out there in the world. There are. There are some racist cops. There are. But not every cop you meet is bad, bruh. Not every cop you meet is out to put you in jail. You know? This is what I tell people. When I first walk up on you, if I'm in the jail and we doing whatever we gotta do, and you open up your mouth to me and I never met you before, the first words that come out your mouth and how you talk to me is gonna dictate how we gonna go for the rest of the time that you're there. You know, because people judge you by your appearance and by what comes out your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. My thing is this: if people just comply and go on about their business, bruh, I'm telling you, things would be so much easier, man. I tell my nephews, my niece and my nephews that all the time. I say, if the police pull you over, yes sir, no sir. You don't need to argue nothing else. They don't want to hear nothing else that's going on right now. They just worried about what they're doing at that moment. They don't want to hear about Taquan and Keisha over there cooking dope in the house.
Mama and them and
right.
And all that, the day that you have.
Right.
And so what?
They're only worried about you. And the thing is, they pull you over, you get pulled over. How you doing today? I'm officer such and such. You know, a lot of times they might be doing warrant checks. You probably look suspicious. You know, let me tell you, people. And another thing, YouTube, suspicious goes many different. It's a broad variety. If it's a white guy in a high drug neighborhood, most of these cops work this neighborhood. They know who lives in that neighborhood. They know the people in that neighborhood. They know, you know.
True.
If there's a white guy, no, majority of the times they do, Bubba. If they hang out, they work that area a lot. If there's a white guy,
they know the neighborhood, knows who lives in the area.
If there's a white guy in a high drug neighborhood, high drug area, that's suspicious. We probably gonna pull him over. If I'm in a rich, upscale neighborhood and you pass me up, riding through the neighborhood in like a lawyer, doctor style, you know, them fancy high-end neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? You ride through that neighborhood, you pass me up and all we seen is 2013 2013 BMWs, Mercedes-Benzes, you know, Escalades, high-class Escalades.
That belong in that neighborhood.
Right. And you pass me up in your 92 Buick Skylark. Seat lean back. 4 people sitting in it. Your buddy's mean mugging me as I pass you up. Now I seen the car, but y'all staring me down the whole time I pass you up. That's suspicious. I'm gonna turn around and see what the hell you doing in this neighborhood, because that don't belong there. You know, I'm not saying you don't belong there, but
you're assuming that.
Huh?
You're assuming it don't belong.
Right.
You're assuming they don't belong.
Right. It don't fit. It don't fit with that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? It don't fit. And it's not. That's what it is. I'm not saying people go, law enforcement, they go and they just racial profile. It's not that. It's an assumption. And most of the time, your assumption is right. You know? It could be I'm not just saying black guys. It could be a bunch of white guys. They pass you up in a high-scale neighborhood in a freaking 91 Oldsmobile, you know? You're like, man, what the hell is going on in this area? And they mean mugging you. You know, they looking at you like they want to do you something. You curious. You want to know what's going on. You know. So I don't know, man. I just feel sometimes the media blows things out of proportion. Black people don't know how to let things go. You know, and at the same time, oh my God, almost ran into me. At the same time, people don't know how to speak. You know, speak to other people. If you want something done, don't go yelling and hollering at an officer. You know.
Absolutely. You gotta have respect for everybody.
Gotta, and at the same time, the officer gotta have respect for you, and he'll have he'll have that respect for you until the first words come out your mouth, and then he'll dictate on what type of person you are from here on out. You know.
Yeah, I only have one experience with a cop. As you were talking, I was on my way to my aunt's house for, I believe it was Christmas, about 2 years ago. And I was traveling on the highway, and it was dark, and I was coming to what I thought was the turn off to go to her house, but it wasn't. So I hurried up and got back into the lane of traffic, but I didn't signal, and next thing I knew, I saw some lights behind me, some blue and red lights. I knew. So I pulled over, and here comes this young white cop come up to the passenger side. First thing out of my mouth was, "I know why you pulled me over." I just admitted it. I just said, "I knew why." He said, "Why?" And I told him why I got back into the lane of traffic without signaling. And he said, "Yeah." Then he said, "You been drinking tonight?" I said, "No, sir." Then he looked in my eyes. He told me to turn off the car, which I did. He told me to get out, which I did. He told me to walk to the front of my car, which I did. Then he asked me again, "Have I been drinking?" I told him, "No, sir, I do not drink." He asked me again, said, "I saw, I do not drink." I did not get mad at him. I was very respectful. I always called him sir. And he looked at me again for about 30 seconds. He said, "All right, get back in your car and let's go." He didn't give me a ticket, a warning, or anything. Let me go. And you know, that situation could have been a whole lot different. My attitude was a whole lot different.
Yep.
Whole lot different.
That's why he asked you all those questions. Are you drinking? Have you been drinking? To see how you react. You know. You got to remember.
One, look at my body language and all that stuff. Yeah, I knew exactly what he was doing. I know why he was doing it. And you know, it was a major holiday. I knew he do that for everybody who pulled over. Right. So, not like he was singling me out or anything. I knew I was wrong. I got back in the lane of traffic without signaling. I made a mistake. I owned up to it. And I was able to drive away from that situation. So.
Well, that's all the time we got, Railman. I done finally backed up. I done parked the load, sat down. We just started chit-chatting, man.
Wow. Yeah, what happens when you have these conversations?
Man, them conversations go on forever, bruh. But, hell, I don't know. I mean, you know what? I'll pick up another run. We'll continue this conversation. I'll pick up another run. Let's continue having a chit chat. Nah, cause man, I mean, I feel this is something that needs to be said, man. Cause sometimes people fail to realize. Now I'm gonna cut this run short. I think I'm gonna cut this run short. I'm gonna go get me another truck. That's what I'm gonna do. I ended that run.